9 National Football League teams that needed a quarterback last night passed on Johnny Manziel, starting with the Houston Texans, who will forever regret passing on Johnny Manziel. And in a minute, I will go right down the list of teams that will forever regret passing on Johnny Manziel, who pretty soon will change football life in Cleveland, Ohio. One day, I am predicting, Johnny Manziel will become even bigger in the city of Cleveland than his buddy and business partner LeBron James ever was in the city of Cleveland. One day, the passing connection of Johnny Manziel to Josh Gordon will heat up Novembers and Decembers, and I'm predicting Januaries in Cleveland, Ohio. And we will have Josh Gordon on this show in just a little while to talk about how great that pick really was for Cleveland. And Stephen A., pretty soon, that dog pound in Cleveland is going to be hooting and hollering for Johnny Manziel, who has that dog in him. This was a sensational, game-changing, franchise-changing pick for Cleveland, and I'm going to give Cleveland this morning very little credit for getting this pick done. Because, do you realize the Cleveland Browns twice passed on Johnny Manziel and disrespected him? Twice they did. At 4 and 8, they passed on Johnny. At the 8th pick in the draft, the Cleveland Browns mind-blowingly took Justin Gilbert, a player I watched a lot, a cornerback at Oklahoma State. I like him, but I don't love him with the 8th pick over Johnny Manziel. Justin Gilbert would have been there in the 20s for Cleveland to take. But Cleveland went from idiotic to incredibly lucky last night, because all of a sudden they woke up back at 26 and they said, wait a second. The whole league is saying, with the sheep think that this league follows, no. If they said no to Johnny, we better say no. And if they said no, now we better say no. And all of a sudden, down at 26, Cleveland said, yes, we can spend a third-round pick to go up to 22, and we can actually get Johnny Cleveland at 22. And they got him. From idiotic Justin Gilbert to lucky Johnny Manziel. And guess what? It was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to Johnny Manziel, because all of a sudden the chip that was on his shoulder pads at Texas A&M just got twice as big in Cleveland, Ohio. Do you remember, quickly, Stephen A., Johnny football dominated Texas high school football. He became legendary. And what happened? Nobody wanted him. The University of Texas, his dream school, said, no, you can't play quarterback in college. And finally, Chip Kelly said, I'll take a chance. And in the 11th hour, Texas A&M said, if Oregon will take a chance, maybe we should take a chance. Johnny football played with the chip on his shoulder to show the world he could play college football at the highest level, and did he ever. And now Cleveland's going to benefit by their dissing of him twice. Everybody else is dissing of him twice, starting with Houston, then St. Louis, then Jacksonville. How did you pass Jacksonville? Oakland, Tampa Bay, mistake. Minnesota, all-time mistake. Tennessee, all-time mistake. Going all the way down to the Dallas Cowboys.
This is one of the rare moments, Skip Bayless, where I really don't have much to say, because I don't blame you. I didn't mind conceding the floor to you. I totally understood it. I swear, I don't think I've ever thought about you more than I thought about you last night. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what? Here's where, you know what? Again, Clowney, relatively predictable. Robinson at number 2, relatively predictable. We understood that. You can't call that a mistake on the part of St. Louis or whatever. You're riding with Bradford. You need to improve and buffer your offensive line. You've got a multitude of issues you got to address. Not that big of a deal. But when Jacksonville took Bortles, I almost fainted. I couldn't believe it.
Bortles?
I said, what? I said, I couldn't believe it.
Really?
But, Skip, before we excoriate Jacksonville, before we do that, just a little caveat I want to throw out there. Where did Bortles play? Central Florida. I mean,
two hours away. He wasn't exactly a hometown boy.
But what I'm trying to say to you is that a homer. You know what I mean? It's just like Tebow when you wanted Jacksonville.
Okay, but at least he grew up in Jacksonville.
Well, let me say this. How far is Jacksonville from
2 hours?
From Gainesville. You know what I mean?
No, from Orlando.
No,
right?
I'm talking
Gainesville.
about when Tebow played for Florida, and you were talking about Jacksonville. Well, Central Florida, you know what I mean? It's like it's like that local product. The same thing that we were alluding to with Johnny Manziel in Texas. You can make the argument that's what Jacksonville was thinking with Bortles. So, but I still couldn't believe it because I'm saying I've heard a lot of good things about Bortles. You've got Jaws and others that have talked about Bortles. Jaws had him higher on his quarterback list than he did Manziel. But at the same time, I said to myself, Bortles ain't exactly box office.
All these people, what are they thinking?
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, he can't.
I'm just looking at the list, and I look at team after team, and I'm saying, what were you thinking?
No, I agree with that.
But Kerry's own Anthony Barr from UCLA.
I understand.
Listen, I watched a bunch of your games last year. Remember, we had a bet on the Oregon game, so I watched the whole game just for you and this bet we had, silly as it was. Anthony Barr's got lots of ability, but he never jumps off my screen, and I say, there's the, what was he, the 8th pick in the draft, 9th pick in the draft. There's the 9th pick in the draft. Johnny Manziel's on the table, and you're saying, I think we'll reach for Anthony Barr. Really? Anthony Barr? You're kidding me.
No, you're not hearing me. You're not hearing me. I totally get you on everything else. I was just talking about how the biggest stunner for me,
I agree.
Other than the Cowboys,
I'm with you.
Other than the Cowboys, was Bortles getting picked at number 3. I almost fainted. I couldn't believe it because I said when Bortles got picked, I was like, oh my Lord, if he got picked there, and then Minnesota passed on him at 8, I was like, where's he going to land? And then I started salivating because I said, oh, my goodness, Jerry Jones is going to grab him. Jerry Jones is going to grab him.
Wait, hold on. We're going to get there. We're going to get there.